G'day, ZiggyD here, and welcome back for my Path of Exile patch 1.3 for the Righteous Roomba, the Hellfire Hockey Puck, the Righteous Fire Marauder. This guy is kind of like a budget beginner's version of Righteous Fire. It can stepping stone pretty easily into something like Niffler's Righteous Fire character, who, shoutouts to Niffler, I referred to his passive skill tree in developing the passive skill tree for this beginner's version of it, and they're pretty damn similar. Like, there's only so many ways you can design a Righteous Fire character in Path of Exile, but I've been thinking for quite a while now, ever since the snapshotting nerf and the various nerfs to Righteous Fire, that it hadn't really been worth doing, and that's kind of the recommendation I've been giving people. I've been saying, well, it's only really worth going Righteous Fire if you're gonna like cast a spell and use it for the spell damage buff and get like a bit of extra passive AoE damage around your character. But making like a pure Righteous Fire character, I was thinking, nah, not really so worth it. But it's actually, I would say it's actually gotten stronger and stronger, and it's actually pretty solid now. And even with only really budget gear, I'm talking like only a 4-link Belly of the Beast and no Doriani's Catalyst. I'm actually just using a Bright Beak as my weapon at the moment. You can be pretty damn effective, and I think you can, at a reasonable pace, farm just about every single map. I tested this only in 75 maps at this point, because I don't think I have any high maps on standard. But it seemed pretty effective, and it should scale decently. And then once you actually, like, spend that extra cash to get that 5-link set up, which the 5-link at the moment gives you life gain on hit, which I'm not using at the moment, so that's why my character is not as survivable as it could be. I mean, it's got like 7.5k life, so it's a pretty survivable character and high resistances and pretty good armor, so it's a pretty tough character, one of the toughest sort of characters you can make in Path of Exile, but with life gain on hit on your Cyclone, it just goes craziness, like nothing will kill it. So that's kind of like the step up, going into a 5-link Belly of the Beast, and then the other one is getting a damage-based weapon, like getting getting either a Scepter with high elemental damage and fire damage, sorry, not elemental, yeah, well, elemental damage on the implicit fire damage, and then or getting a Doriani's, which is the kind of like the end game goal. Those guys are pretty expensive, but that's a way of like scaling damage up so that you can just like chain farm 77 and 78 maps if you want. But pretty impressed with the character overall and how it came together. Feels pretty strong again. Feels close. I mean, maybe it's just been a while since I got to actually play a snapshot Righteous Fire character, but feels pretty damn solid, guys. Feels pretty damn solid. So I'm pretty impressed. So let's switch on over here, and I'll show you guys the passive tree as I have it set up, and just how I'm running my character at the moment. And of course, if you would like to get some more info on the character, you can check down in the description below for the spreadsheet for this build from the 7-day Righteous Fire Marauder project, and you can find all of the other videos and guides to the character in there, of course. And I'll also provide a link to Niffler's Righteous Fire build guide on the forums as well, which is really quite solid. And you should check out his YouTube channel as well, guys. It's pretty good stuff on there. So let's switch on over. So here we have the passive tree for patch 1.3. It was looking a bit sketchy for Righteous Fire for a while. People were like, oh no, they're removing a lot of regen, or they're changing around a lot of things that was kind of like screwing the build, but it all came good in the end, and we were able to make it work, and work pretty damn well as well. The only sort of drawback now is that you go Righteous Fire a little bit later. Like, you wait before you could go Righteous Fire right as you equipped your Rise of the Phoenix shield. That was like pretty much the time where you would be an effective Righteous Fire character. You could do some dodgy like Ruby Flask chaining stuff before that and sort of run Righteous Fire to level if you wanted to for fun, but to have an actual effective Righteous Fire character you needed to wait for Rise of the Phoenix. Now you kind of need to just get like a few extra levels just to kind of get enough regen and stuff sorted out. I think it's around level 68 you can switch to Righteous Fire now, so it's really not that bad, but you know, just level with Flame Blast, it's going to be effective. So here's the look of the passive skill tree. Obviously, Righteous Fire, we go for the max fire resistance here. We go for some burning damage. We go for amplify some radius and area damage. We get a little bit of elemental damage on the tree. And then the most important things are getting life regeneration, so we get a lot of life regeneration through the tree. We got some through in the Marauder section, obviously. There's some on Armor Mastery just here, an extra 0.5% as well as extra armor, and this character ends up getting quite a bit of armor. We get a lot of passive armor while going for life and regen as well, which is really nice. So we basically scoot around and get all of the like easily accessible and worthwhile regen around the tree. And you can see obviously the Golem's Blood cluster pretty good there, into the Scion cluster, and pretty much getting all that jazz up here. You essentially, this section here is the core or the base of the tree. Once you have, that's like going Righteous Fire. After you have that, you can kind of come up into this area and pick up more life and more damage. You can pick up things like Amplify and Elementals. All these things sort of just give you more damage and a little bit more survivability, essentially. Elemental Equilibrium is still in use in the character. You can proc this through cast when damage taken. Ice Nova, still an excellent way to apply Elemental Equilibrium early. Otherwise, you don't actually need to run this. Instead, you can run just get some cold damage on a weapon or on a piece of jewelry, or some lightning damage. Either of those work just fine. So I think I actually have somewhere, I have 3 to 7 cold damage here on my amulet. So every time I hit things with cold damage, and that applies Elemental Equilibrium. They actually, in the recent patch, 1.3.1 I think, added a cool little nifty visual effect for Elemental Equilibrium as well, which I can show just here for you guys. So let me just leap forwards. I'm not going to show the Righteous Fire stuff in action, but you can see the little ground effect now. All these guys with the little purple effect under them, and now have Elemental Equilibrium applied. The other thing that's changed about this build is we now have access to Curse on Hit. Curse on Hit has become quite popular and a great way of automating your character. And the way we're going to do this now is we link our Cyclone, again still to Blood Magic, everything is linked to Blood Magic on this character, but then to Curse on Hit and Elemental Weakness. Now if you get a 5 link, you're going to add on Life Gain on Hit, and I recommend trying to go for that somewhere around, like if you're getting into like 75 maps, you're probably going to want that survivability. You can get away without it, but it's going to help a lot. Otherwise you just have to be a little bit better with your Flasks, like your Ruby Flask give you a huge amount of healing, as does having like an insta-heal Flask. But getting Life Gain on Hit for that 5 link, and if you really like the character, you can go for a 6 link, and then grab a second Curse, and head up into here, and this is kind of what Niffler did in his build, and go up and get the second Curse. That's optional, you really don't need it. Even without that, you're going to deal still a ton of damage with Elemental Equilibrium and Elemental Weakness. And then getting just like the raw damage from Righteous Fire, which gets pretty damn high, you're going to be pretty good. And if you chuck on a damage weapon as well on top of that, then you're going to be good to go as well. Now I'm still using a very budget setup. I only have the Falling Belly of the Beast. I have a Brightbeak, which has no damage mods on it whatsoever. The only reason I use Brightbeak is because of fast leap slamming, and it's got a little bit of extra resistances on there. You can just use a Scepter with some fire damage on it if you want to, or you can use something like Divinarius for some extra AoE. You have quite a few options what you want. You can even use an Aramvarax as well if you want even more resistances to make your gearing cheaper. You can wear absolute garbage rares with just like 100 life on them or something. If you want to, if you want to run a Aramvarax to get you a bunch of elemental resistances. So you got quite a few options. So this character can start pretty budget and then scale with the money you earn really well, which I think's a good sign of like a pretty powerful character. And I think this build has sort of come back in a pretty good way. So I had a bit of fun with it. And I know you guys have been like asking for this update. I'm sorry it took so long, but this has been the most requested build update for patch 1.3. So happy to get it out there for you guys. So anyway, check out the links in the description below. If you have any questions about Righteous Fire and patch 1.3, feel free to ask myself or hit up Niffler's thread again. It's excellent stuff. Alrighty, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.